There is a moment most people experience every morning, even if they never fully notice it. The alarm rings, the mind wakes up, and almost immediately the world begins pulling your attention in 1,000 directions. Notifications, responsibilities, worries about the day ahead. And before you even step out of bed, your mind is already reacting to life instead of directing it. But more than 2,000 years ago, the Stoic Emperor Marcus Aurelius wrote something that changes the way we understand this moment. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. In other words, your day is not determined by what happens to you. It is determined by the way you think about what happens. Welcome to Master Your Mind. This is the place where ancient philosophy becomes practical mental strength. Here we explore Stoic wisdom, discipline, and the mindset required to remain calm, focused, and powerful in a chaotic world. And today we are going to explore something most people completely underestimate: how the way you begin your day shapes the strength of your mind. Because the Stoics understood something that modern life often makes us forget. Your mornings are not just the start of another routine day. They are the moment where your mind either takes control or loses it. Marcus Aurelius believed that each morning was an opportunity to return to clarity, not by escaping the responsibilities of life, but by approaching them with intention. He reminded himself constantly that when you wake up in the morning, you are not just waking up to another list of tasks. You are waking up to the responsibility of living as a rational and disciplined human being. This idea becomes even more powerful when we connect it with another concept that reflects a similar truth about purpose: the Japanese philosophy of Ikigai. Ikigai refers to the intersection between four essential elements of life: what you love, what you are good at, what the world needs, and what you can be rewarded for contributing. When these four forces align, something remarkable happens. Life stops feeling like an endless series of obligations and begins to feel like a meaningful direction, a reason to wake up in the morning with energy instead of resistance. But discovering that deeper purpose does not happen by accident. It requires reflection. The Stoics believed that a life without purpose is like a ship sailing across the ocean without a compass. Every wave pushes it in a different direction. Every wind determines its course. And eventually the ship drifts endlessly without ever truly arriving anywhere. This is exactly how many people move through life today, reacting to circumstances, responding to distractions, chasing short-term comfort instead of long-term meaning. But when you begin asking the deeper questions the Stoics encouraged, everything begins to change. What do I truly stand for? What kind of character do I want to build? What contribution do I want my life to make? These questions are not philosophical luxuries. They are the foundation of a disciplined mind. Because when your purpose becomes clear, something remarkable begins to happen. Challenges stop feeling like random suffering. They become part of the journey. Difficult mornings become opportunities to practice discipline. Uncertainty becomes an opportunity to practice courage. And slowly, the way you experience life begins to transform. Marcus Aurelius did not see each morning as a burden. He saw it as a responsibility, an invitation to live according to virtue, to practice clarity of thought, to build the strength of character that most people only wish they had. And once you begin approaching your mornings with this mindset, you start to realize something powerful. The quality of your life is not determined by the circumstances surrounding you. It is determined by the discipline inside you. And that discipline does not begin with the world. It begins the night before, because the Stoics understood something that modern culture often ignores. The way you end your day quietly shapes the way you begin the next one. Most people treat their evenings as an escape. Endless scrolling, television that runs far into the night, constant stimulation that keeps the mind restless long after the body is tired. But when the mind never slows down, the morning begins in chaos. Marcus Aurelius approached his evenings differently. Before sleep, he would reflect on the day that had passed. What did I do well? Where did I allow emotion to overpower reason? What could I improve tomorrow? This daily reflection was not about guilt or self-criticism. It was about clarity, a calm examination of one's own character. Because the Stoics believed that growth does not come from pretending to be perfect. It comes from observing yourself honestly and adjusting your actions accordingly. When you practice this kind of reflection at night, something powerful happens the next morning. Your mind wakes up with direction instead of confusion. Instead of being immediately pulled into the noise of the world, you already have a sense of what truly matters. Even something as small as writing down 3 priorities for the next day can transform the way your mind approaches the morning. Suddenly, you are not waking up to chaos. You are waking up to intention. And intention is one of the greatest sources of mental stability, because the Stoics constantly reminded themselves of a simple truth. There are things within our control and things outside our control. We cannot control every event that tomorrow will bring, but we can control how prepared our mind is when those moments arrive. Preparation creates calm. When you wake up knowing what deserves your focus, distractions lose their power. Anxiety begins to shrink. The mind becomes quieter. But in the modern world, there is another obstacle that quietly destroys the clarity of our mornings: digital distraction. The moment most people wake up, they reach for their phone. Emails, notifications, social media, news alerts. Instantly, the mind shifts into a reactive state. Instead of beginning the day with clarity, it begins by responding to other people's demands. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself to focus on what was directly in front of him, the present moment, the task that reason demanded. He understood something that neuroscience now confirms thousands of years later. The quality of your attention determines the quality of your life. When your attention is scattered, your mind becomes scattered. But when your attention is intentional, your thinking becomes sharper. Your decisions become calmer. Your actions become more deliberate. And slowly, something powerful begins to emerge. Discipline in the small things. Getting out of bed when the alarm rings. Making your bed. Preparing your environment for the day ahead. These actions might appear insignificant, but the Stoics saw them as votes for the kind of person you choose to become. And once that inner strength begins to develop, the way you experience the world starts to change. Situations that once created stress begin to feel manageable. Uncertainty no longer feels like chaos. It becomes something you can move through with clarity. Because the Stoics understood a profound truth about the human mind, most suffering does not come from events themselves. It comes from the meaning we attach to those events. Fear, frustration, anxiety, embarrassment. These emotions often arise not from what actually happens, but from the story the mind creates about what might happen. Epictetus taught that what frightens us is rarely the event itself. It is the interpretation we attach to it. When you examine fear rationally, its power begins to fade. This is why the Stoics practice something called negative visualization. Instead of pretending difficulties will never come, they imagined them intentionally. Losing something valuable, facing obstacles, being misunderstood. Not as pessimism, but as preparation. When you mentally rehearse difficulty, you remove its ability to shock you. And when the mind is not shocked by difficulty, it becomes calm enough to respond wisely. This practice creates an unexpected effect. Instead of becoming anxious about the future, you become more grateful for the present. Gratitude became one of the most powerful Stoic practices. At the end of the day, many Stoics reflected on what they were thankful for. Not only the victories, but the small, often overlooked moments, a meaningful conversation, a lesson learned, the opportunity to live another day. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself that life is temporary, not to create fear, but to create clarity. When you remember that time is limited, trivial concerns lose their power, petty arguments feel smaller, and each morning becomes something extraordinary. Not just another day, but an opportunity to live intentionally, to build character, to strengthen your mind, to contribute something meaningful to the world. Because the happiness of your life truly does depend upon the quality of your thoughts. And if you are serious about developing this kind of mindset, about transforming philosophy into practical mental discipline that strengthens how you think, act, and lead your life, then the Master Your Mind program was created exactly for this purpose. Inside the program, you will learn how to build emotional control, mental clarity, and the psychological discipline required to remain strong in a chaotic world. You will find the link in the description. And if this message resonated with you, subscribe to the channel, and stay committed to the path of self-mastery, because here we explore the ideas, the discipline and the philosophy that help you build a stronger mind and a more intentional life. I will see you in the next video.